Namaste. We are here with a new bouquet of Nritya Kovidas. Shinjan Nrityalaya and Ministry of Culture, Govt of India come together to welcome all the Rasikas. In our previous presentation of Nritya Kovida, we had invited stalwarts who ignited the torch of Odissi dance by establishing, rearranging and enriching the repertoire. Art is like a free flow stream. Continuous research and its propagation help this art form to live on. This evening, we are honored to present eminent Odissi exponents who are working hard on their individual perspective of Odissi dance to take this age-old art form to a different level. I take this opportunity to welcome Padmasree awardees Srimati Kiran Segal, Srimati Madhavi Mudgal, Srimati Ranjana Gauhar and Central Sangeet Natak Akademi Awardee Srimati Aloka Kanungo among us. My humble pranam to these great dancers. Now we move on to the main attraction this evening. I request Sushree Mukherjee, an Odissi dancer based in Dallas and a disciple of Guru Aloka Kanungo and an educator, to introduce our first revered guest, Padmasree Srimati Kiran Segal.
Namaskar. I am so honored to welcome our most revered guest, Padmasree Guru Sri Kiran Segal, who is one of the leading exponents of Odissi dance in India. Since childhood, she has been trained in the contemporary dance style of Udar Shankar till the mid-60s by Padma Vibhushan Srimati Zohra Segal, her mother. She then received the Star Certificate in Dance and Drama from the Natya Akademi, Delhi, and participated in dance and movement classes of Hindustani Theatre, Delhi. She then trained in Bharatanatyam with many renowned gurus from 1964 to 1976. She is also trained in Carnatic vocal under Guru Srimati Meera Sheshadri. From 1976 to 86, she trained in Odissi under Guru Mayadhar Raut in Sriram Bharatiya Kala Kendra, Delhi. Guru Kiran Segal is one of the most innovative and outstanding Guru dancer choreographers of Odissi dance today, and it is due to this contribution of hers that Odissi has been given a totally different dimension. She has internationally represented India in the Festival of Avignon, France, International Bonner Summer Festival, Bonn, West Germany, International Music and Mime Festival, Asia, Morocco, International Music and Dance Winter Festival, Sarajevo, Festival of India, USSR. She has internationally performed in over 45 countries all over the world, including Austria, Algeria, Bangladesh, Belgium, Berlin, Canada, China, Czechoslovakia, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Egypt, Ecuador, England, to name a few. She has performed all over India and participated in all the major festivals all over the country. She has danced for charitable causes such as collecting funds for tsunami, Uttar Kashi earthquake, Orissa cyclone, and for Sangeet Sudhakar, Guru Balakrishna Das, a great singer in the Odissi world but who was inflicted with paralysis. Kiran Segal's single-minded and deep-rooted attachment to dance has led her to establish Pallavi, Odissi Nritya Sangeet Vidyalaya in New Delhi, where she is training and grooming young dancers in this ancient dance form. She has recently written a book on her mother, Padma Vibhushan Srimati Zohra Segal, titled Zohra Segal Fatty, which was released by Srimati Gursharan Kaur on Srimati Zohra Segal's 100th birthday on 27 April 2012. For her dedication and contribution to Indian classical dance, she has been honored with several titles and awards, some of which are the Sangeet Natak Akademi Award, awarded by the National Academy of Music and Dance, Delhi in 2002. The Padma Shri awarded by the President of India, Delhi 2002. The Neela Madhava Award in 2002, Delhi. The Kala Shrestha Samman, the Indira Gandhi Priyadarshini Award in Delhi 2000. Nritya Vilas in 1993 in Mumbai. The Nritya Saraswati in Bhubaneswar in 1991. The Parishad Samman Delhi Government 1986 and the Shringaramani in Mumbai 1979 and the Kalamani in 1976 in Mumbai. In 2011, she was awarded the Meri Dilli Award for her contribution to culture in the state of Delhi. She has educated several teachers and students from schools, colleges, and universities from all over India by giving over 1,000 lecture demonstrations to them on Odissi dance. So, as you can see, Odissi has been a guiding force in Guru Kiran Segal's life. So, Kiranji, our first question is, could you tell us a little bit about your childhood days and your initial training? You belong to a renowned family. What were your inspirations from your family?
My childhood was spent in Bombay. We were a family. My both my parents were artists. My mother was a dancer, and later went into acting. My father was a painter, and also danced. And in our house, above our house, lived the Anand family. You know, Chetan Anand, Dev Anand, Vijay Anand, all these people. And there was constant exchange and friendship amongst all the families. There was no such thing कि यहाँ नहीं जाना वहाँ नहीं जाना, don't do this, don't do that. You know, their children would come and play in our house, I would go up to their house. And apart from that, going to the theater with my mother when I had days off from school, which of course I didn't like because I would rather have stayed at home and played. But you know, being a girl child, my mother didn't like to leave me alone at home. So she would drag me along with her. And there used to be Prithvi theaters, you know, the rehearsals they would rehearse every play. And before that, Ma would take exercises, dance exercises, then the dances, and a lot of work used to go on. So I would spend major part of the morning, right, I think right until lunchtime, in these rehearsals. She was very strict, keeping a constant eye on me, which also I didn't like because I could never get out of her sight. I always wanted to run around, you know, with the others, go into the canteen, have a coke, and things like that. Um, you're asking me what inspiration did I get from my family? Um, Inspiration in the sense, you see, as a child you don't know, you don't really know what is inspiring you, or how you are imbibing anything. It's your entire upbringing, it's the environment that gradually comes out later in life. So I learned a lot of discipline in learning, discipline in teaching, having a method in teaching, things like that. Yes. And yes, I would say I was inspired. I mean, the genes are there, so there's nothing odd about me being an artist, or being, you know, being a dancer.
It is so interesting to hear such anecdotes about your childhood. It is true that we draw inspiration from several facets of life, and as a child, we imbibe from everything going around us. Kiranji, you were trained in the Uday Shankar style of dance, Bharatnatyam, and you were an actress. But why did you choose to be an Odissi dancer? Did your training and experience help you in your dance?
You say that I was trained first in Bharatanatyam. No, I was first trained in the Uday Shankar style of dance. by my mother because she was a disciple of Uday Shankar, whom she fondly called Dada. You see, she had learned, she was part of his troupe when he traveled to America. I think it was in the 1930s, and they went by ship right across. So I learned that form first. And in a way, that helped me a lot because it made me understand my body. When I came to dancing two styles, like Bharatanatyam and Odissi. And there was a time when I was performing both the styles in one program. I was touring South America in the early 80s, and I was dancing both the styles. First half would be Bharatanatyam, second half would be Odissi. Now, in the interval, I would change outwardly the costume, the jewelry, the headdress, and everything. But inwardly, 15 minutes was not enough for me to change, from the crispness of Bharatanatyam into the lyrical form of Odissi. And this used to disturb me a lot. So gradually, I gave up Bharatanatyam and I came into Odissi. And also, I started getting more and more offers in Odissi.
It is so coincidental that you started your dance career with the Uday Shankar style of dance, and I did the same. It is so intriguing to me that you have traveled to so many countries, and the amalgamation of several cultures actually broadens your thinking and your horizons. How do you manage family and profession?
It was very hectic. Now I don't perform that much, but earlier my mother was living with me. I had to take care of her. My granddaughter was with me. My daughter was with me on and off, not all the time. And since things were so hectic, I had to have a um, very disciplined schedule, and I had to work out everything. I just had to do it. It didn't bother me. I also enjoyed it. I enjoyed the busyness, as you would call it, the running around here and there. And I was going through some of my old diaries the other day, and I realized how much, performing somewhere, being on a tour, coming back with just one day's break, then rushing off to another Spick McKay tour, then coming back and again a performance. So, when times were like that, it was not tough, it was not difficult, it was enjoyable. It was total job satisfaction.
It is so wonderful to see that you perfectly balanced your family and profession, which is indeed a hard thing to do. Now we see you not only as a successful dancer, but a talented choreographer and a teacher. You are the trendsetter and you're known to be very innovative. How could you manage to be such a multi talented person?
I've never studied choreography. I never went to a school of choreography or anything. I've studied display and design, and I choreograph in my mind, an idea that comes to me, and gradually I want to see it in dance. I like seeing bodies move. I like seeing bodies form designs. I like using space in different ways. And choreography is not a copy and paste thing, which many people do. I don't want to take names, I'm sorry. But I see this, one movement, then another movement, then another movement. This is not choreography. Choreography is an amalgamation of design, movement, energy, usage of space, etc. And thank you for saying that I'm innovative. It's not intentional, by the way, let me tell you that. When I was asked to do poems on Tagore, I selected five of his poems, and because of that, I realized what a what a great man he was. I did not know much about him apart from the fact that he was a great poet and he had written our national anthem. And as a child, I'd seen photographs of him, with a long beard and his hair all in a mess. And as a child, I would always think, why doesn't this man comb his hair? Why doesn't this man comb his hair? But of course, on much later in life, one realized what a what a lovely philosopher he was, what a romantic he was, how much in love with nature he was. I mean, his poems depict all that. So I selected five of his poems and I danced them with my group of girls, group of dancers, and I enjoyed doing that. The music was by Neil Dutt, and one of the poems, had a touch of jazz, and oh, we loved dancing to it, enjoyed it, and as an experiment, and it turned out to be very very lovely. In fact, I've had Bengalis come up to me and say, oh, we've never seen anything like this with Tagore's work. We were so bored with Tagore. I mean, I shouldn't be saying this, but I performed it again here in Gurgaon for the 25th, the anniversary of Samiti, and I got a standing ovation. I was really very, very, very happy, very happy. So these things just come to you. You don't. Everybody, let me tell you, everybody can't create. Everybody can't choreograph. It's either you can or you can't. Don't force yourself, because everybody is choreographing. So don't force yourself and think that you're creative and you're really creating something. But anyway, that's the way it is.
Wow, I was really awestruck when you mentioned about the tinge of jazz. I think the flashes of creativity that come to your mind are actually the flashes of genius that make your creative genius come out and your choreography is so powerful. I also think I learned a lot about how to utilize space to create something so beautiful. What do you think of classical dance's status today? Do you have any suggestions?
From what I see around me, I feel youngsters these days want everything very fast, very quickly. And you can't blame them because they do get every information very quickly. Whatever they want to know, just Google it, and there you are. So, but you can't Google dance, na? You can pick it up from YouTube, but it's still not the same thing as learning it from a guru or a teacher or a master. It's not the same. The art forms take a long time, especially our art forms. And these days, I feel, people are. Um, some come to learn dance because they're overweight. Others, parents, want their little girls to learn dance because they would rather they spend time in dance than watching television or being on the telephone or talking to their friends. You see, others come to learn because it's going to be useful for entrance into college, extracurricular activities. If you're short of percentage, you get another 5 or 6% if you've learned dance and you're good at it. And the sad thing is that, you train a child from the beginning, and the moment they reach the 10th standard, and you as a guru, you feel, oh, this one is really going to blossom. And because of the pressure of studies, they just stop. And it is so sad. It is so disheartening for a teacher or a guru that you feel, all those years of mehnat, of hard work, just gone to waste. It's a pity. It's a real pity. Because I feel dance is something that helps you immensely, not just in your posture, in your personality, in your formation, you know, your thoughts, the way you look at life. I mean, I still, when I'm walking around, I look at plants, trees, and everything. At times, as dance. Funny. My suggestion for the youngsters is that if you go into dance, please take it very seriously. You learn a lot. You don't only learn about dance, you learn about the whole sahitya behind it. Just to take up one, you don't have to be an expert in knowing the sahitya of all the, all the shastras that are there, or all the poets that are there. You get to know that. You get to know about the architecture. You get to know about sculpture. There's so much. And all that belongs to your country, not anywhere else. So that would be my suggestion. If you take it up, please take it up seriously. Otherwise, don't fool around with it.
I think it's really great advice. Nothing can be gained in a hurry. And as classical dancers, we have to take it very seriously. And it is only through dedication, perseverance, and great sacrifice that we can attain a little bit. I feel so fortunate and lucky to have learned so much from you. And I just loved listening to you and talking to you. Thank you so very much. Namaskar. Now over to you, Boishali.
What an insightful experience and choreographies shared by Kiranji. Thank you. Now we move on to our next revered guest, Padmasree Guru Madhavi Mudgal. I would like to request Sushree Shupradipta Datta, a disciple of Guru Aloka Kanungo and founder artistic director of Kalangan at Houston, to introduce Madhaviji.
Thank you, Boishali. Namaskar and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to the section of the second episode of Nritya Kovida, where I will speak to yet another legend from the world of Odissi dance, Padmasree Guru Srimati Madhavi Mudgalji. In the dance world, Madhaviji's name is synonymous to grace, technical finesse, and elegance. Madhaviji was born into a family devoted to Indian classical dance. Her father, Pandit Vinay Chandra Maudgalya, was the founder of the Gandharva Mahavidyalaya, one of the premier institutes for classical dance and music in New Delhi. Madhaviji started her journey as a dancer with being trained in both Bharatanatyam and Kathak under eminent gurus. Odissi came much later. But of the three forms, she finally chose Odissi as her medium of expression. Her training in Odissi was initiated under Guru Hari Krishna Behra. She continued her career later as the prime disciple of the legendary Guru Sri Kelucharan Mahapatra. Guruji helped her achieve a greatly refined sensibility in her art. Madhavi has received repeated acclaim in dance festivals in major cities throughout the world, including the Edinburgh International Festival in the UK, the Festival of India and Fall for Dance Festival in the USA, and other major festivals in countries like Mexico, Mauritius, Austria, South Africa, Brazil, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Japan, and of course, the Indian subcontinent. Apart from establishing a niche in the international dance scene as a soloist, Madhavi has received critical acclaim for her choreographic work. Her extensive training under renowned gurus from childhood and her family's musical background have provided her with a rare insight into the art of choreography. Her commitment to the continuation and augmentation of a chosen art form has seen her as one of the foremost teachers in her generation, initiating beginners as well as senior students into the finer nuances of Odissi at the Gandharva Mahavidyalaya, New Delhi. She has also conducted workshops in the dance form all over the world. Not only live performances, Madhavi has been associated with the making of several films and audiovisuals on Odissi, as well as with the organization of some of the most widely appreciated specialized dance festivals in Delhi, where outstanding dancers from various styles were featured, rendering common texts and themes. She organized Angahar, the first Odissi dance festival, in 1985, in which all the major gurus, scholars, dancers, and traditional groups like the Maharis and the Gotipuas were brought together for the first time. Needless to say, numerous awards and honors have come her way, including the Sanskriti Award in 1984, President of India's Award of Padmasree in 1990, the Orissa State Sangeet Natak Akademi Award in 1996, the Grande Médaille de la Ville by the city of Paris in 1997, the Central Sangeet Natak Akademi Award in 2000, the Delhi State Parishad Samman in 2002, and the Nritya Chudamani in 2004. She has also been awarded the title of Chevalier at the Order of the Arts and the Letters by the Government of France. We are delighted to welcome Madhavi Mudgal ji to our program today, the second episode of Nritya Kovida. Welcome Madhavi ji to our program.
honored and delighted to be a part of this series organized, conceived by my dear friend Aloka, a colleague of mine and a lovely dancer. I'm sure that this series will become like a document for future generations of dance lovers and dancers, dance students, uh, to see the directions Odissi has taken over the last 50, 60 years since its revival, because it's being presented by the dancers right from Srimati Priyambada Hejwani, who was the first dancer to present it, and the successive generations of dancers. My compliments to Alok and her team.
Madhavi, we just heard that you belong to a family of very renowned musicians, and I'm sure that has influenced your choice of profession. But we would still like to hear a little bit more about your own inspirations, your childhood days, and also about your initial training.
I consider myself extremely fortunate to have been born into such a family like mine who were deeply immersed in the classical arts. My father started the Gandharva Mahavidyalaya in New Delhi in 1939, when this place was quite a cultural desert, in the sense that classical music and dance was not seen in a right eye, as always happens, and girls from good family didn't go to learn these arts. But his efforts, my parents' efforts, has borne fruit, and now we have hundreds of students who learn uh, classical music and dance. My childhood was spent amongst greatest of musicians, listening to their talk, um, listening to their concerts all night. Not that we understood anything, but just being around them and by osmosis to be in the company of such great stalwarts, I think was a blessing. And we would hear all night concerts. Of course, we would sleep halfway, but I think that has stayed with us in our minds, all my siblings. Um, Initially, because the classes were also where our home was, uh, I would just go into dance classes and not music classes, although both my parents were musicians, vocalists, and they would teach vocal music. But I somehow gravitated towards dance. And I believe at the age of 4, there was a dance competition, and I was given a gold medal by none other than the Vice President of India, Dr. Radhakrishnan. I don't have too many memories of that time, but I do remember going to classes, and it was more like a play. And at that time, there were only Bharatanatyam and Kathak classes. So I was learning both simultaneously, more like a play. It was only in the teens that I started doing these styles seriously, and it's only then that I discovered Odissi.
Wow, what an enriching and exciting environment for a child to grow up in. You mentioned that you were trained both in Bharatanatyam and in Kathak from an early age. Then, why Odissi? When did you get introduced to the art form, and how did you meet your Guru Kilichand Mahapatra? Why did you choose Odissi over Bharatanatyam and Kathak?
It so happened that Guru Hari Krishna Behera came to the Vidyalaya to teach Odissi, and I was fortunate to start my training under him. I was dancing at that time when I was around 15, 16, Kathak in quite a professional way on stages in India and abroad. And I was partnering Pandit Durga Lal, who's an exquisite dancer. Um, and yet I was doing both Odissi, learning Odissi, and I just started to perform Odissi. So 1972 was when in Bhulabhai Desai Institute in Bombay, I was invited by Mr. Solibhai Batliwala, who encouraged a lot of young artists. and so I was given a chance. Um, at that time, Guruji, my Guru Hare Krishna Bera was to play the Pakhavaj with me, but it so happened that there were floods and the trains couldn't come from Delhi. Pandit Bhuvaneshwar Mishra, who used to be in Bombay at that time with Vividha Bharati, he was to play the violin with me, and he suggested that Guru Kalshan Mahapatra happens to be in town, and why don't you request him? And I did, and he came to play for me, and it was such an experience for me because there was no rehearsal at all. He arrived only at the time I was to perform, and he just asked me what items I was doing, because all the items were his compositions, and he played and I danced, and that experience I would never forget. It was such an enlightening experience for me. So I was studying also. I was a student of architecture, School of Planning and Architecture, and I was doing Kathak, I was dancing Odissi, and a point came when I had to decide that I couldn't continue with all three. So I just chose Odissi because I thought it suited my kind of expression, subtle, underplayed, and its lyricism and sculptor's qualities what attracted me to Odissi.
From that story, it feels like you were destined to meet Guruji that day and you were destined to be an Odissi dancer. Madhviji, you have achieved so much in your career. But of all the events in your career, if you had to choose just one which holds a lot of significance for you, which one will it be?
A major event in my life, I would say, was the Angahar festival that I organized in 1985. I had been dancing Odissi by then for about 15 years, and I wanted to go deeper and wanted to know more about the styles, and I felt that the audiences, especially in Delhi, didn't know too much about Odissi. They knew more about Bharatanatyam and Kathak. So I thought, because it's such a beautiful form, to bring together all the dancers, all the gurus who were living then, Guru Pankaj Das, Guru Deva Prasad Das, Guru Kalchan Mahapatra, of course my Guruji, all the second generation of gurus like Guru Gangadhar Pradhan, Guru Ramani Ranjan Jera, Guru Raghunath Datta, and all the stalwarts of Odissi at that time, Sanyukta Appa, Kumkum Mohanty ji, Sonal Man Singh ji. But even that, before that, I requested Priyambada Mohanty ji, who was the first dancer to bring Odissi to Delhi and to light, so to say, uh, to show us the way Odissi used to be at that time. And she very kindly agreed and presented her dance, which was so beautiful and so pristine in its presence. It's so we could see, and I also brought together all the scholars, musicians, to discuss in seminars uh, the kind of music, the Odissi tals, uh, the Hasta Mudras. They were all brought out in kind of a book. So it was a major event that I think happened, and it gave a new I cannot say a new direction, but it was a major event that happened in 1985 and the first of its kind.
बैठे हैं जगन्नाथ जी, तो वही अंग लेते हैं और इसमें वही पद चक्र मंडली भी करते हैं। देखिए भ्रमित है, अंग भ्रमित है और चक्र मंडल भ्रमित है।
What a wonderful festival that must have been. Thank you for sharing those clips with us. To our generation of dancers, you are a trendsetter. Not only are you a wonderful dancer, but you are a very successful and talented choreographer and accomplished guru who has trained so many beautiful dancers. We have all seen your solo choreographies and your group compositions, and I believe you have a few snippets of your choreographic work to share with us. I am very curious as how did the transformation happen for you from being a performer to being a guru and then being a choreographer as well?
For myself, I don't see any difference between being a dancer, a choreographer, a teacher. As for being a trendsetter, I don't know. That is for the audience to decide. But it was in, again, around 85 that Guruji asked me to start teaching. And that's when I realized that more than one figure can create such magic that, you know, cannot happen when a solo dancer is there. Of course, the essence of Odissi is in the solo format, and the dancer can really bring out emotions and the real rasa through a solo performance. But a group presentation has different dimensions. So some of the compositions, for example, Rangastuti, that you will see now, is an ode to stage, Mother Earth, on which we perform, and it's from Abhinay Darpan, where we invoke the space because it's a sacred space for us, and this is what makes possible the creation of rasa, the creation of ananda for the audience.
भावरस
beautiful. It is so very Odissi, and yet in the juxtaposition of the dancers and the way you navigate the space, it has that element of novelty, of innovation. So, when you first think of an idea of a piece that you would like to choreograph, what inspires you? What kind of subjects inspire you? And also, in what light do you see the traditions of Odissi when you are thinking of a new choreography?
I'm a traditionalist and firmly believe that our classical traditions provide us immense possibilities of creativity. Unlike what some people believe that they're restrictive, and I think they have immense possibilities, and some of which I try to explore. And we can have various directions. We can expand the boundaries of our tradition, of our classical arts. Um, for example, I have explored the Natya Shastra, the concepts of some concepts of Nritya, like Akarana, Angahara, where the concept of Laya, Tal, and how we conceive of a Pallavi in a solo format. I've tried to explore that through this piece called Pallavan.
Such an interesting piece. Madhviji, you have choreographed both solo and group compositions, and they both build on similar aspects of our art form. Uh, are there certain things that you feel can be accomplished in one and not the other?
I love to play with tal and explore musical structures. I've created many solo pallavis, uh, but with multiple bodies, you can create very interesting patterns with different dancers doing um, at the same time doing different things, and that creates very interesting uh, possibility which cannot be done in solo. Just a small example of that in Vistar.
Takita tak the, takita tak takita tak takita tak the.
Tak dhei, takita tak dhei, takita tak takita tak takita tak tak dhei.
Tak the, takita tak takita the.
Tak dhei, takita tak takita dhei.
Tak the, takita tak takita the.
Tak dhei, takita tak takita dhei.
Tak takita the.
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 Tak takita dhei.
Ta the,
Ta dhei,
ta the,
ta dhei,
ta the,
ta dhei,
ta the.
ta dhei.
Dhei, 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 ta, 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 ta.
So beautiful. All the pieces that we have seen till now have been nritya pieces or non-interpretive ones. When you choreograph an abhinaya, how does your approach differ in interpreting the piece when it's a group versus when it's a solo?
For Abhinay, I have a different approach in group work, not like a dance drama, but to treat it somehow like a solo pattern. But in a group, how that is possible can be seen in this piece called Topoi. It's the story of a girl with 7 brothers and sister-in-laws and how they trouble her. Just a small example, and this is a very typical poem uh, done in a very typical style. Another thing that I'd like to say is that I'm very lucky that I have my brother Madhu, who composes music for me, and this piece has been created by Sri Maheshwar Rao in typical Odia style.
Charu baru se sohe hira
Indeed, it's a very interesting approach of Abhinaya presented in a group. Um, Odissi is a relatively young classical dance form, and already we have seen it evolve so much in the past few decades. What do you think is the future of this art form, and what advice would you give to young dancers who dream of taking this dance style in a new direction in the future?
Parampara Pravaha, or the flow of tradition, happens only by the inputs of successive generation of artists. Uh, Sometimes the river flows fully, sometimes it's become a small stream. So it is on us, it is our responsibility as artists, as dancers, to continue the flow in a meaningful way. But each one has their own direction. And my advice, I'm nobody to advise, but my suggestion to young dancers is to go deeply into learning of a particular style, whichever style you're learning, to go deep before you start to create. And not everybody is a choreographer. Some are excellent, some people are excellent dancers, some have the urge to create. But if you wish to create, go deep into the form first, and then you'll be able to create wonders. My best wishes to everybody.
Thank you, Madhaviji. It was indeed a pleasure talking to you today. I'm sure our viewers have enjoyed this conversation just as much as I have. Our humble pranam to you, and thank you once again. We now move on to the next segment of the second episode of Nritya Kovida. I would request Boishali to introduce us to this new segment.
I'm mesmerized by the transcendental choreographies by Madhaviji. Thank you. Now we present another eminent exponent, Padmashree Guru Ranjana Gauhar, who will be introduced by Sushree Nivedita, a disciple of Guru Aloka Kanungo and a recipient of senior scholarship from Human Resource Department, Govt of India, and she is also a senior digital content producer at Times Limited. Over to you, Nivedita.
Sangeet Natak Akademi Awardee Padmasree Guru Ranjana Gauhar was initially trained as a painter at Delhi's College of Art. Later, she was introduced to the world of Odissi dance and was trained under Srimati Aloka Panikar and later under Guru Mayadhar Rao at Sri Ram Bharatiya Kala Kendra in Delhi. Though trained in Manipuri and Kathak in her initial days, Srimati Gauhar established herself as a leading Odissi performer over the years. She has received many coveted awards. Worth mentioning of them are the Indira Gandhi Priyadarshini Award, the Mahari Award. She has established a premier dance institution, Utsav, in Delhi. It is an absolute honor of Shinjan Nrityalaya to welcome Guru Ranjana Gauhar in this festival.
Chitrangada, the daughter of the royal house of Manipur. The divine word proved powerless to change the form of life that sparked in my mother's womb. So invincible was my nature, woman though I am.
সে কোনখানে পাবে তার আশ্রয়, অভক্ত সহস্পর্ধা। বালকেরও দম, মার কোলে যাও চলে নাই ভয়, অদ্ভুত কৌতুক।
सखी हे सखी हे सखी हे मथन मोदारम सखी हे केशी मथन मोदारम निभृत निकुञ्ज गृहङ्गतयानिशि निभृत निकुञ्ज गृहङ्गतयानिशि निभृत निकुञ्ज गृहङ्गतया निशि निभृत निकुञ्ज गृहङ्गतया निशि रहसि निलीय वसन्तम् चकित विलोकित सकल दिशा चकित विलोकित सकल दिशा चकित विलोकित सकल दिशा चकित विलोकित सकल दिशा रति रभसभरेण हसन्तम् सखी हे केशि मथन मुदारम् सखी हे केशि मथन मुदारम्
Namaste Ranjana ji. First of all, I would like to thank you for coming to this platform and share with us your valuable experience and knowledge. Let us begin today's rendezvous with the first question. Please tell us something about your initial days of training. What was that trigger point that influenced you or encouraged you to take up dancing as your passion? What were the challenges you faced in this journey?
Far back as I can remember, I always had this urge to dance, to be one with the rhythms of nature. So dance came very naturally to me. Whenever I heard music, I would begin to dance as a child. When I decided to take Odissi dance in a serious way, in a way that I wanted to make it a part of my life, I faced many challenges because being a Delhi person, and those days there were hardly any gurus who could teach Odissi. So my first challenge was where to find a guru who would teach me Odissi dance. And then initially, because my parents did support me dance as a hobby, but when they found that I was going more and more deeper and deeper into it and spending more time with it, they got a little afraid and they started putting their foot down. But seeing my dedication, seeing my involvement and passion for dance, they finally accepted it. So it was finding a guru, convincing my family, because I don't come from a family that is of artists. In fact, nowhere around is there any artist. I don't know how it happened that my life is dedicated to this beautiful art of Odissi dance.
It's great to hear from you about your journey. Ma'am, we all know that you were initially trained in Kathak. Then what made you choose Odissi as your final call?
It's very interesting that while I was learning Kathak, I did not feel that that is what I want to take forward in my life, because it was something I enjoyed, it was something I very much liked to do, but it wasn't holding my attention. And then one day I happened to see this performance, which I never knew even the name of the dance form. And when I came home and I asked my seniors, what did I see? Because it had captured me, it had sort of held my soul captured. I just felt this is it. This is what I've been looking for, because it had beautiful sculptures, poses. It has the most beautiful music, most melodious and touching, and the movements and the way, the grace, and the whole atmosphere was so filled up with purity, with beauty, with lovely melodious music that I felt this is what I want. This is what I would give my life to learn. So it was not something I decided with the head. It was something I decided with my soul, with my heart.
Your love and passion for Odissi reflects in your eyes. Ma'am, I'm very curious to know about your initial training days under Guru Mayadhar Rao. How was the journey?
So my challenges didn't just end in finding the Guru, because I found my Guru, Guru Mayadhar Rawat, and I started learning dance from him and joined his classes. But Guruji was a very busy Guru. He had no time, and I had to beg for time. And finally, he said, "Okay, you can come in the morning and stay on as long as you want." And I would do that. Starting at about 9:30, 10 in the morning, I would stay on in the class till the last class was over. He was kind enough to allow me to stay on, but my appetite was not yet satiated. I wanted more. I didn't want even the lunch break, because there was 3 hour lunch break from 1 to 4 in the Bharati Kala Kendra. And all the gurus would put their rooms, close them with a lock. And I didn't want to come home and then go back again. So I wanted to stay on in the class, and I would request Guruji to put a lock from outside and let me be in, so that I could practice in front of the mirror and continue my hunger to be satisfied by practicing what he had taught that morning. So you see, it was a full day work for me. I took it like this, that people go to office from 9 to 5. So I go to my Odissi office from 10 to 7. So that was my routine. Even after coming home, sometimes one would practice. Practice was something that we were encouraged to do, and I just loved practice. Even today, I mean, more than anything else, I love about Odissi is practicing the art, practicing the different compositions, creating them, choreographing them, listening to different music, and trying to create something beautiful for the children now, not so much for myself, because I also run an institute which is called Utsav Educational and Cultural Society, and that was formed with the idea of imparting Odissi dance training and music to the students, because it's so important that what we know we share. It's so important that we pass it on to the society. So Utsav was created with the idea of training, but it didn't stop there, because teaching was good, very nice. It's very beautiful experience till date. I love and enjoy taking classes with my students. But it also felt at that point that one must spread the art, and not just Odissi, all art forms, all dance forms. They're so important. This is our heritage. This is our cultural richness of the country that must be shared. So I began to start festivals, having festivals where I would invite senior, junior, stars, all kinds of artists to come and perform. And these festivals have been going on now for 12 to 15 years, some for 12 years, some for 15 years, some for even longer period. and it has brought the dance fraternity together. I'm not saying I'm the only one who's doing it. There are a lot of people who are doing it today, but I was probably one of the initial organizers in Delhi, and I have enjoyed that so much. It has brought very beautiful people close to me, and I've had the experience to watch their work and feel very enriched and happy that we are like a family today.
This is so inspiring. I'm sure the younger generation will find your journey enriching. Ma'am, your fame is not only confined to being an astounding Odissi dancer, you are at the same time an excellent choreographer, an author, a filmmaker, a festival organizer, and above all, a wonderful guru. How do you manage all these with so much precision?
Having performed almost in all the important venues and festivals, different countries, I traveled a lot as a performer. Choreography, of course, became a part of it because um, no artist can really evolve and grow without doing their own creative work, apart from what they have learned from their gurus and what they have inherited from the past. So that was something that came as a sort of package as a dancer. But I did a lot of productions, and some of my memorable productions for me, which are special, are Chitrangada, Kabir, Geet Govindam, Matsya Avatar, and like that, many more, in which I tried to do very different things. Um, I tried also to create a documentary film for preserving, for showing the history, for showing the struggle and the different evolution of the Odissi dance form, let's say. And for that, I was fortunate enough to be given the support by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and I made a documentary, 3-hour documentary film called Odissi Chandrika, just to show this, that what is Odissi dance. And I tell you, that taught me so much. I loved and I enjoyed every moment of the making of that film. I also made a film, documentary film on Sri Geet Govindam. And that was another very, very enlightening experience that took me to some great spiritual experiences as well. Apart from that, I made many other documentary films and wrote a book on Odissi dance called Odissi, the Dance Divine. All this is possible because I look at Odissi as the tree of my life. This tree, the big trunk, spreads out in many ways like branches of a tree. So all these are the different branches of Odissi dance only. I, I have whatever I have done, Odissi has been my inspiration. Odissi dance has given the motivation, the energy to create different through different mediums, not just the stage, but also film, also book, also writing, also teaching. So creating platforms, like I said, various festivals. All this is the motivation comes from Odissi dance itself, which is my energy engine.
Initiatives you have taken surely stand out and take Odissi dance to a different level. Before we end this evening's rendezvous, I would request you to convey a message to the young dancers.
If dance is your passion, then eat, breathe, sleep, live, laugh every moment of your life. Only Odissi dance.
Getting an opportunity to converse with Padmasree Guru Ranjana Gauhar has been enriching. I hope dancers of this generation will find this session inspiring too. I sign off here and once again request Sushree to take over and introduce the next guest this evening.
We are so privileged to witness the beautiful work of Ranjana ji. Thank you. Our last but not the least eminent dance personality this evening is my guru and Central Sangeet Natak Akademi Awardee Srimati Aloka Kanungo, who is much well known as Aloka Kanungo. Me, being her first student, I take this pride and opportunity to share something about my guru. Beauty first and always, but as Socrates said, brain help. Aloka Kanungo has both, so it is joyous and relaxing to write about her. This was written by David Blake in Al Aram Weekly Online after the performance at Cairo Opera House. Srimati Kanungo is one of the leading Odissi exponent of our time. A disciple of Padma Vibhushan Guru Kelcharan Mahapatra, she was initiated by Guru Raghunath Datta and Mayadhar Raut in the world of Odissi dance. Over the years, she has performed as soloist and with her troupe in many countries including USA, Russia, Southeast Asia, Australia, and as well as notable festivals in India. Aloka Kanungo has received the Central Sangeet Natak Akademi Award, citation from Vishwabharati Shantiniketan, Odisha Sangeet Natak Akademi Award, Shiromani Puraskar, Shringarmani Award, Outstanding Young Persons Award, Mahari Award, and so many. Placed in the top grade by Doordarshan Central Audition Committee, she was graded as the Outstanding Dancer by ICCR. She is the recipient of Senior Scholarship and both the Junior and Senior Fellowship from Ministry of Culture, Govt of India. Today, she is not only known as dancer par excellence but is revered as choreographer as well. Her productions like Bandho, Maharaj, Shakti enthralled her audiences and critics. She is a multifaceted talent who has proved her mettle as poetess, painter, and actress. She has worked with stalwarts like Sri Mrinal Sen, Sri Tarun Majumdar, Guru Kalavati Devi, and Padmasree Guru Rani Karna. Aloka Kanungo established her institution Shinjan Nrityalaya in 1996 to propagate this age-old tradition and spread the Odissi worldwide. So this was a short note on the journey of my guru. Now I will invite a talented and internationally acclaimed dancer, Sushree Kaustavi Sarkar. She is a professor in dance department of University of Carolina at Charlotte and artistic director of Kaustavi Movement Center. She has represented India in multiple events and earned the prestigious titles like Shringarmani, Nritya Nipuna and Odissi Jyoti. I will request Kaustavi to ask Aloka ji to enlighten us about herself and her work.
Pranam Alokdi, I'm so grateful to be in this position and asking you questions. So, without further ado, Alokdi, I really want to know your inspiration, your roots. Can you speak a little bit about your childhood days, your initial training? What inspired you into Odissi?
Pranam Kaustubi. I had a great time when I was a child. I was living with my maternal grandparents and I was loved, nurtured, cared by them, and not only by them but also my neighbors, our relatives and my teachers. Everybody loved me and they liked me so much. I was considered as a child prodigy and extraordinary, very talented person. And I took the maximum advantage of this. Actually, it's not that I was only pampered, but I was nurtured by them under their strict supervision. And I learned dancing. I got rigorous training from Guruji, Guru Raghunath. He was my first guru and I got my initial training from him. Later I joined Padma Vibhushan Guru Keluchuran Mahapatra's workshop, as well as I went to his house to learn Odissi dance. My inspiration, I would say, that my own Guruji, Padma Vibhushan Guru Keluchuran Mahapatra. I aspire to be like him, may not be 100%, but little bit. I'm really charmed with his illustrious character, his charisma, his extraordinary talents, and I think he is a genius. And if I can inherit a little and considered that I am his student because I have these qualities, then I will be honored. It will be a great honor for me.
Alokdi, how can you manage the family as well as the profession? And your family is not just your intimate family, it's the entire extended dance family.
Yes, managing the career and the family is a very, very difficult task. For me, actually, it was more difficult. My son was wanting my attention and I would be having performances. My son would be having examination next day, I would be having an important dance performance. So it was rather very, very difficult for me, and I was young and it was difficult for me to manage. But luckily, my mother-in-law, she was coming to look after my son, and she told me that, see, family is family. You have to look after your family very well. You are a mother, you are a wife, and you are also dancer. So you have to do justice to all these three things. And that is it. But my family was very supportive and I cannot complain. I remember when I went to Japan for Festival of India with Guruji, that time my son was having his examinations. And my father-in-law also expired at that time. So my husband had to rush to Bhubaneswar, and I was at Japan. Before that, I went to Bhubaneswar for practice. Then we stayed at Delhi for a few days. Then after that we went to Japan. So I was absent 20 days, even more. And he went to Bhubaneswar. So it was a hard time. But they didn't mind, and my son managed very well. So it happens. You have to keep a balance between the two things, family and your career, because they are your own things, and you have to give equal importance and love and affection to both the things, family and career.
Thank you so much, Alokdi, for sharing your roots. I also happen to know that you were interested in drama and acting, so you had certain interest in theatre as well. So what made you stick to dance?
Thank you. Actually, I was also acting in dramas from my childhood days. When I was only 3 years, I started acting in All India Radio Cuttack as a child artist. I acted in dramas like Bisopiyusha, Matire Phula, written by Gopal Chotrai. So I also acted at Janata Rangamancha, a professional theatre, for 6 months when I was only 6 years old. It was Mala Janha drama, and I was a child artist, Nato. In the role of Nato, I acted in that drama. It was fine with me, but lot of time was spent for rehearsals, and my folks didn't like it, that I had studies. So they thought that dance is good for me, and it is good exercise, it is keeping me engaged, and might be they also thought that it has a better future than to be an actress. And so they didn't allow me to do group theatres, but I was in All India Radio till my college days. I also acted in film, Matira Manisa, as a child actress. Then also a small role in Amar Giti, directed by Tarun Majumdar. So, but the thing is that in dance you have to groom yourself, you have to practice, and you don't have to depend on anybody, and all the rehearsals, practices can be done in your own house. So my grandmother, she suggested that you should be a dancer, and so all these actings were stopped, and I had no choice. And frankly speaking, I love to dance because it channelizes your surplus energy, and I feel great.
Alok, you're not just a successful dancer who has created a niche in the Odissi soloist world, but you're also a successful choreographer, an author, as well as a very, very rigorous teacher. How do you manage all those various facets?
Actually, one leads to another. First, you become a performer. You train your own body, you concentrate on your practice, and you are grooming up. Then you become a teacher, because you need to see your reflection in your students. After that, they need to be presented on stage, so you become a choreographer.
कृष्णाय नमः श्रीमद्गोपी जनवल्लभाय नमः भागवत शुभ नाम परम रस शुक मुनि गाय वंशी विभूषित करान्नवनीरदाभा पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्ब फलाधरोष्टा पूर्णेन्दु सुन्दर मुखात् अरविन्द नेत्रा कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने।
माधवं चन्तरे नङ्गना इत्थमा कल्पिते मण्डले मथगो वेणुना संजगो देवकी नन्दना
Thank you. tak thinni thinna kitta thinni tak thinni thinna kitta thinna kitta thinni tak de tinda ta tinda da tinda ta tinda dha dha tinda ta thinna ke thinni thinna kitta thinni tak thinni thinna kitta thinna kitta thinni tak de kritik dha tinda ta kitta gadi gana dha dha tinda dha tinda kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha de kritik dha tinda ta kitta gadi gana dha dha tinda dha tinda kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha de kritik dha tinda ta kitta gadi gana dha dha tinda dha tinda kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha kitti tak gadi gana dha ti dha.
After that, your knowledge is not that sufficient, so you have to do research. So I think all dancers, they are not only performers, they are also research scholars, teacher and choreographer.
Alokdi, I do happen to know your particular research interest in Bandha Nritya. Could you say a little bit about your production Sthapatya Satya?
Bandha Nritya is really very close to my heart. Bandha means bandhana. When we greet a person, we do Anjali Bandha. When we greet, we do handshake, with two hands. When somebody marries, they do Hasta Bandhana, Hatha Ganthi we say. So Bandha is actually used in every sphere of life. And during my research, I found Bandha Kabya, Bandha Chitra, Prabandha Gita and Bandha Nritya. Bandha Nritya is an acrobatic limb of Odissi dance. When I was in school, my classmate Meena Banerjee was a proficient Bandha dancer. And I went to my uncle and I told him that I must learn Bandha Nritya. He told, what is this? You want to learn Bandha? Why? He took me to Kabichandra Kalicharan Patnaik and he told me that why? You want to do circus? And that is the end of my learning Bandha Nritya. But in early 80s, I attended a seminar at Odissi Research Center and I am really charmed with Bandha Nritya. And when I found that it is mentioned in Abhinay Chandrika, so I thought I must know more about Bandha Nritya, and it was there and it should be revived. That time it was more or less extinct. So I tried very much on my part how much I can do to revive the dance form and to bring it back to the stage. So I choreographed Sthapatya Satya with Bandha in 4 visual and performing arts, namely Bandha Chitra, Bandha Kabya, Bandha Nritya and Prabandha Gita. We brought the Gotipurs. They performed the rustic Odissi dance, how it was performed 50 years back, and our dancers performed sophisticated Odissi dance of nowadays. It was a great success. It was at Rabindra Sadan and Vijay Sahu, famous Odissi dancer, he brought his troupe to perform with us and it was a great success. After that, we presented the same production at different places, Delhi, Bombay, Kerala, Nisagandhi, Assam, and many more places. And it was really a great success. I invite Gotipo Gurus to teach, to train our students here in Bandha Nritya, and we present Bandha Nritya in our annual program also. Our tiny tots, they learn Bandha Nritya, but after a certain time, they don't want to pursue. I think it is our duty to preserve, to propagate the forgotten art form, Bandha Nritya, and I am happy that many troops in and around Puri, Bhubaneswar, they are doing that now. There are many talented gurus, Odissi gurus, they are maintaining Gotipur troops akhdas, and they are presenting very, very extraordinary dance compositions, and I am happy for that.
Alokdi, I'm sure our audiences will also want to know your particular research in Shakti Shabda Nritya and Ravan Chhaya. Could you please share some nuances on that work?
Knowing more about dance and the theory part is equally important. We are taught from the beginning that you should know the theory behind the practice. We are taught theory by Sri Nilamadha Bose at Kala Vikas Kendra. Dhiret Patnaik was also taking some classes. So from the beginning, I was initiated, I was forced rather to learn the theory aspect, to study all the aspects of dance. And my uncle Govardhan Patnaik, he was after me. He will say that no, you must get by heart all the Bini Jogas and you should score the highest number in your theory examination. After that, when I become little older, actually that time also I didn't have any intention to know more and to read so much study. But till I met Professor Mohan Khokkarji and he presented his book, that after that I became really interested. Then I met Dr. Sunil Kothariji, N.K. Shivsankaran. They were all very supportive and they wanted me to read more. Then I had gone to Bangalore, I think for a performance Nitya, organized by Srimati Lalita Srinivasan. There I met Mahamohopadhyay R. Satyanarayan ji. After that, there is no looking back, and he was my mentor, guide, philosopher, everything, and he will be after me that Aloka, you must read this, Aloka, you must know this. And I presented many papers at seminars, and after that actually I fell in love with the theory aspect and I wanted to know more. Then I got fellowships. I should do justice to it. That's why I had to do field study. I had to visit the libraries and study more. And for Sabda Nritya, I got a senior fellowship from Central Sangeet Natak Akademi. Initially, I was not very interested to do research on Sabda Nritya, but when I saw certain pieces on Shiva and Durga, I was really charmed, and I found also that there is a close relation between Sahitya, Nritya and Gita. And so with a fellowship, I visited the Akhadas. I went to the village Varapalli, Kuhariga, and I collected many sabdas, and the result is the production Shakti. There I used Ravan Chaya. Ravan Chaya is a shadow puppet theatre. They make it with deer skin with tiny holes, but we presented it in a different way, taking advantage of the modern amenities PowerPoint presentation. Shakti was a great success. I also used sticks to show the jantras of Mahavidyas. Also many props like clothes to show blood. Ravan Chaya is a dying art form, so I think that we must try to preserve it, and I am doing so till now. we invited the Ravanachaya troupe to present their art at ICCR here, and it was a great success.
I find this so intriguing and made me more ravenous to know about my Guru Aloka ji. Quoting John F. Kennedy, "If art is to nourish the roots of our culture, society must set the artist free to follow his vision wherever it takes him." Yes, dancers should not have any boundaries. These Nritya Kovidas are doing their part by escalating the growth of this age-old tradition, and by becoming the trendsetters, they are showing us the path on which we have to walk. I sincerely thank Kiranji, Madhaviji, Ranjanaji and Alokaji to grace this festival, and also thanks to the 4 vibrant dancers, Pompi, Shupradipta, Nivedita and Kaustavi. This was our grand finale, and hope you all have enjoyed. Shinjan Nrityalaya is thankful to Ministry of Culture, Government of India for their support. Our technical supports are Shankar Sen, Vaishali Bhuiya, Nivedita Datta. Poster designed by Shupradipta Datta. And lastly, a very big thank to all the Rasikas. Namaste.